If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I post a new Tom Brady video every day.
Tom Brady owning the Dolphins and playing for the Dolphins as if he was Jackie fucking Moon was allegedly very close to happening.
It's really just a fascinating story of this non-playing season, you know, tying into what was in the Flores suit about, you know, Tom Brady essentially, even though he was not named, showing up, you know, at a boat, you know, or yacht or whatever the hell it was for Stephen Ross. Arians saying, you know, he's retiring because he just wanted to pass the torch, even though Brady's coming back, and Brady's role with the Dolphins potentially, and what it might have meant before he unretired, and then he unretires, and then Arians goes, but it's not because Brady forced it. What is your 2 cents on whatever the hell is going on with these 3 Bermuda Triangle data points?
Well,
for me.
And this always makes Buccaneers fans and Dolphins fans very happy when I say this, but Brady was going to Miami, and Sean Payton was going to Miami, and that was the plan. And Brady was going to be introduced as a minority owner of the Dolphins as soon as Super Bowl week. He retired Tuesday, February 1. Hours later, Brian Flores drops his lawsuit, which includes the allegation that he was pressured to meet with a high-profile quarterback who was under contract with another team. He doesn't mention who it was. It was Brady. That was in 2020 when Brady was about to become a free agent after his time with the Patriots ended. That lawsuit short-circuited what the Dolphins were going to do. And it was going to be Brady introduced as a minority owner, pursuit of Sean Payton. And they acknowledged they called the Saints about Payton, and they were told by former Dolphins GM Jeff Ireland, who's now assistant GM with the Saints, don't waste your time. I think there was more to it than that. The Dolphins admit that they considered making Tom Brady a minority owner, but I think it was going to be minority owner, here comes Payton, and at some point in the spring, Brady unretires and goes to the Dolphins. And I say all that now because we need to keep an eye on the possibility of Brady going to the Dolphins next year, because he'll be a free agent. There's a no tag clause in his contract with the Buccaneers. Unless they extend his contract, they cannot keep him from going wherever he wants to go.
Now, we are learning that Ben Volen of the Boston Globe. Oh, yeah. He is senior NFL insider, a reporter for the Boston Globe. He is also reporting that Miami reportedly planned to pursue Sean Payton and had Brady at quarterback too. The plan was scrapped after Brian Flores' lawsuit, which was filed the same day Brady retired. I think he already has a house down there. He's going to be owner of the Dolphins, player, coach, owner. Let's go.
I think that there's a lot of smoke there, which means there are at least flickers of flame. And I look at it this. Consider this example, Rich.
Yeah.
Last year, Drew Brees retires. Okay, let's say Drew Brees retired for 40 days. Came back after his retirement ends. 17 days later, Sean Payton quits. What would Drew Brees have said? I think he would have said, what the hell, man? I'm back and you're leaving. There was none of that vibe with Tom Brady. Wasn't that striking to you? There wasn't even a flinch. There wasn't even a batting of an eye that Bruce Arians is out 17 days after Tom Brady came back. And to me, that said it all.
The lawsuit probably distracted that out, and you know, maybe Tom Brady decided, oh, I don't want to go work with this guy that's paying people to lose, and maybe that's what happened, or maybe they just thought now's not the time for us to be able to do this because of the lawsuit that seems to be super serious and might be setting a precedent for the NFL for the future. But it's crazy that that was going to take place. Did Sean Payton retire out of nowhere because he thought he was going to maybe go be part owner of the Dolphins and their head coach? And did Tom Brady retire out of nowhere because he thought he was going to be part owner of the Dolphins and the starting quarterback for the Dolphins? Is that what happened? And now that he's back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you got to think the writing's on the wall. He's going to Miami next year then, right? He's going down there to do the same exact thing as soon as his contract is over, right? Because Bruce Arians said it's going to take 5 ones if you want to trade for him. Maybe BA had heard the rumblings that he retired so that he could go down to Miami. He was like, well, that ain't bad business. That's not what we're doing there. But I would like to say great business for Tom Brady if he's going to become a owner of a team to play football.
But how would Brady have been able to unretire and go to Miami? Wouldn't there have been compensation go to Tampa that would be required to make that work?
I think this would be the first time that would take place. That would be amazing.
They would have had to compensate the Saints to get Payton. They would have had to compensate the Buccaneers to get Brady. But the wheels were all moving in that direction. And I don't know whether or not the Buccaneers would have drawn a line in the sand if it came down to it. I know Bruce Arians kind of flippantly said at the Combine they would want 5 first-round picks, but I know that the Buccaneers were concerned about Miami. I know the Buccaneers were concerned about San Francisco. And even though no one's going to admit it, they've crafted this narrative that can allow Bruce Arians to walk out the door with his head held high and not feel like he's getting pushed, and that's fine. But the timeline is too weird. The reaction by Brady is too positive. And
what do you mean? Hold on. What do you mean it's too positive? Because
his head coach is out. He's back. I think if he had retired from the Patriots and he comes back and 17 days later Bill Belichick quits, there's at least going to be a what the hell, man? There's at least going to be something. It was all just like, yeah, this is exactly what we expect.
And he never really even used the word retire. It was step away.
Step away.
I was told within 2 hours after Tom Brady unretired, the next shoe to fall is Arians will be out. And it happened 17 days later. I was told that by someone I trust, and I wasn't able to nail it down and report it, but we hinted at it the next morning on PFT Live. I said I'll be surprised if both Brady and Arians are with the Buccaneers week 1, and 16 days after that is when it happened. So that's why I'm very skeptical, because I mean, people I trust were telling me that it was coming, and other people I trust were telling me that this Miami thing was very, very real.
I think he's in Miami though. Regardless, the ties are too real to Stephen Ross.
And I heard that Arians and Brady, you know, had gears grinding, and that, you know, when it all comes down to it, Brady didn't really prefer Arians's approach sometimes, not just about the way he was talking, but just the way he would run things there.
Undisciplined.
That's one way to...
Semi-retired, showing up, barnstorming in, messing up the work that he and Leftwich were doing. Think about that. Any workplace, if the boss has checked out half or most of the time and then shows up late in the week after you've been busting your ass all week to try to get things in order and starts changing things, it's going to irritate you after a while.
But I heard that Brady could have still lived with it, though, when it all comes down to it.
Well, maybe they just ignore him in 2022. I don't know what they would have done, but it's one hell of a coincidence. And maybe there are coincidences, maybe there aren't, but this is one we've never seen before, where one of the great all-time players retires for 40 days, comes back, and 17 days later his head coach is out, and there's no reason for the head coach to walk away other than the narrative that they crafted, which is a very positive, uplifting idea that he wants to hand the baton to Todd Bowles under circumstances where he has a chance to succeed. That's great. I support that, but I also am not willing to believe that it's exactly the way it went down, and that's, you know, that's. I know that's not a popular take with Buccaneers fans and Bruce Arians, but that's what I believe.
On paper, the Dolphins, they loaded with more draft picks next year to potentially add to the roster. It's already a draw just coming to South Florida anyway. It makes a lot of sense.
It would seem implausible at this point, in part because Tom Brady, from even before he made the announcement on his unretirement, was lobbying some of his teammates to come back and calling people within the league. He's a A-plus recruiter.
He did recruit a couple guys to sign back with Tampa, including his buddy Leonard Fournette, including Chris Godwin, including several other free agents.
Jensen.
And is he really going to do that? I mean, Ryan Jensen came back. Is he really going to do that and then bail?
But it would seem surprising at this stage to think suddenly now he's going to go out the back door and end up in Miami. I would also say at some point you would certainly anticipate that they have to address Tom Brady's contract, because he's got, I want to say it's a placeholder year for about $10.5 million that he's on this year. That was never intended to be played on. The idea was keep adding a year to his contract, give him a lump sum this year like they did last year when he made $40+ million. I would certainly think that's what's next for Tom Brady.
Plus, if we remember correctly, there was kind of like a tampering thing that was part of the Brian Flores lawsuit involving the Miami Dolphins. So after all this, after that allegation, which has not been proven, do the Dolphins then get him? Like, none of this makes sense to me.
Well, today, Dolphins' new head coach, Mike McDaniel, addressed just that.
Has anyone, Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Tom Brady, the Super Bowl winner? No. Yeah, that has not been in the conversation at all. That I think that's what you'd call fake news. Oh.
All right, so Tom and the Dolphins is never a real thing. It was all classic internet, classic NFL, classic daily talk.
Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe as I post a new Tom Brady video every day.